to another episode of Speak On It. I'm your host, Dom. Got my man Biv with me. It's a football Monday. We're just going to recap football that happened over the weekend. Also, we're going to touch on a little bit of the basketball. But without further ado, I want to make sure that y'all go ahead and make sure y'all subscribe to our YouTube page, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, listen to us on Spotify, and tweet us because we are on Twitter. But without further ado, I'm going to let my man Biv go and speak real quick, say something to y'all.
What's going on, everybody? What a crazy Sunday and yesterday. So, man, let's just get into it, man.
All right, let's get into it, man. Since we got a lot of football we talk about, man, I want to start with I'll start basketball real quick. Let's knock that out the way, and then let's start talking about this football. Man, that Denver Lakers game, bro. I'm gonna tell you. I thought Denver had it last night. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm torn. Like I said, I know I picked Denver. I'm torn on what I saw last night. So the question I asked in the chat about tonight was, did Anthony Davis take Denver's heart with that shot? And my answer would be yes and no. That's my answer. I don't know. I don't know if he did or if he didn't. Like, for me, if it's anybody else, I'm like, yeah, man, like, they put all they had into it. Like, the fight to come back, and then to go down like that, to lose like that can be devastating to anybody. You know what I mean? But then I was like, but I saw Denver come back from 3-1, 2 series in a row. I saw them come back from 2 series in a row. And then I was encouraged by what they did last night. Like, last night, legit, they should have won that game. If it's anybody, like, you don't allow nobody else to hit that shot, or to even catch that ball. But I was like, you know what? They should have won. I think they should be encouraged by what they did last night. They should be encouraged. And to me, their third best option, maybe their second best option in these moments, was on the bench. He was on the bench. Like, he didn't play. He didn't play like from 6 minutes on. You know what I mean? PJ Dozier was playing well, but for me, Michael Porter Jr. was balling all game. He should have been in the clutch moments, in clutch time. And for me, I'm encouraged by what I saw last night because it took that big shot from Anthony Davis to beat them, and Michael Porter Jr. was on the bench. And Jamal Murray has yet to go off in this series, so I was encouraged by last night. So I would say, if it's another team, yes, I think they take their heart, but because Denver has the most comebacks, fourth quarter comebacks, double-digit fourth quarter comebacks in the past 2 seasons, I think that Denver is very encouraged by what they did, how they played last night.
I agree with you. I don't think the hearts can be taken. You come back from 3-1 the first time, and you're like, oh my gosh, that was great. And then the second time, you're like, man, we right back here again, and it's the same playoffs. So I feel like they're gonna come out and they're gonna have that same fight, you know. So I don't expect them to be anything other than themselves. And last night they played terrible for a half, felt almost a half or whatever, and then they stormed back. And so I'm not gonna count them out. I don't think they're gonna win the series, but I still think they got a game or two. People saying sweep. I think last night proved that they won't get swept.
Yeah, they're not gonna get swept. I guess I think. So I was talking to somebody and I was like, man, I don't know who that game fall on. And then I was like, man, I think coaching kind of a little bit fall on coaching a little bit based off what I talked about a little bit when I talked about Michael Porter Jr. not being in the game. PJ Dozier missing four clutch free throws. Jokic missed one as well. But to me, I was like, if that's Michael Porter Jr., he knocked those free throws down. He also gets that offensive rebound because I don't think Rondo gets that offensive rebound. Then I was looking at like how Miles Plumlee closed on, or Mason Plumlee closed on the out to Anthony Davis, trying to run between the wedge. So I was like, it's a lot of little things that Denver didn't do right, and for the Lakers to beat them by 2 points off that shot, like I said, I think my pick is tough. My pick is still solidified, man. It's still solidified. I think Denver gonna win it in 7. The Lakers just did what they supposed to do. They won 2 games. Like I said, just keeping it mentality wise with that same mentality that I'm 2 games in LA, 2 games on Denver. You know what I mean? And then same mentality wise, the Lakers did what they supposed to do, which is win the first 2 games. Now it's up to Denver to win the next 2 games, and then we got a series. So I was real encouraged by it.
Yeah. I just don't. I don't know if they got another one in them. I don't know if they
Another
got
3-1.
another. I don't know if they got another one in them. And again, I just think the LeBron factor, that experience, and as much as people don't want to give him credit for that, the killer mentality, his killer mentality is different in my opinion. He's the guy that's gonna make the right basketball play to beat you, versus always taking the right shot. Well, taking the last shot, he to makes the right basketball play to get the right shot. So, but LeBron won't allow them to blow a 3-1 lead.
I could definitely agree with that.
And Rondo won't allow them to blow a 3-1 lead. So
Here's the thing: I agree with you on both of them because a lot of people might say, "Well, Rondo don't got a killer instinct." Yes, yes, he does. It's the same as LeBron James's. Now, like you said, we look at it as in a different sense of because coming out of the era from Jordan and onto Kobe, and then like I said, a little bit with D Wade because he had a killer in a different manner as well. We always look for the killer to take over and say, "I'm taking this shot, get out the way." Um, but we never talk about how even having that killer instinct, they missed those shots. They missed shots as well. Like they didn't hit, even as having a killer, they didn't hit every shot. And then like with LeBron, um, he make the right pass, he makes the right play. Sometimes it hits and sometimes it doesn't. So I do agree with you. We got to stop knocking him for making the right basketball play when it doesn't go in. But when he makes the right basketball play and it leads to a game winning bucket like we saw last night with Anthony Davis, it doesn't negate or take away from his killer instinct. And I agree with that. It took me a long listen. I'm a big man. It took me a long time to admit that and to say that. But I just think that when you're a fan of the game, and again, you do a sports show, you got to be real. But when you're a fan of the game, man, you got to stop taking out your hate for people or your biases against people, and just be real. LeBron James is an all-time great. He makes great plays, and like you said, I don't think that he wants to win the championship bad. He wants to win the championship bad, and I don't think he will allow them to come back or to lose up being up 3-1. But we thought Kawhi wouldn't do it either. But we see what happened in that series. So I want to move forward. I don't want to talk about the Boston Celtics yet. Not in the show, but I want to move forward in the football, right? And one of the things I want to talk about is this wave of black quarterbacks that's in the NFL, that's also in college, that's coming out. To me, it's like in order to win, you got to have one of those guys. Like that's the way it's trending. In order to win the Super Bowl, in order to start winning and win championships, you got to have one of those guys. Like even when we talk about college, right, and the people that's coming out, I know Trevor Lawrence is the #1 guy, but then when you talk about Trey Lance, who behind him, you talk about Ohio State. I always forget his freaking name. Justin Fields.
Justin Fields.
Yeah, Justin Fields, who behind him. I'm looking at surveying the landscape. I'm thinking about Miami's quarterback, who looked freaking phenomenal on Saturday, and who he was a beast in Houston. He just didn't get a lot of love. He had total of 50 touchdowns in Houston last year. Now you're just gonna see it on a bigger stage. When you talk about De'Aaron, forget his
Yeah,
last
King.
name. Yeah, Derek King. You think about quarterback from Louisville, who leading the nation in passing right now, and touchdown. Forget his name right now. It's
Cameron Harris. No. Malik Cunningham.
Malik Cunningham. Malik Cunningham. So, and I guess I can keep going on and on and rattling them off, but the way that the NFL is trending right now, and the way that they're bringing the college game into the pros, and the way that we're seeing some other quarterbacks or traditional quarterbacks struggle, pocket quarterbacks struggle a little bit, it's like, man, it's a good time to be an African American quarterback, a mobile quarterback, and I'm liking what I'm seeing. One that asks is like, who? Well, what are your thoughts on that? Like, what do you think thoughts on like the way it's trending with the African American quarterback?
The game, the game, fortunately, turned in our favor, where everybody just got bigger and athletic, and because there's no more 275-pound defensive ends that run a 5.5, now they're 275 and they run a 4.6. So you can't have your quarterback just standing there like a statue anymore. He's gonna, unless he's got a lot of experience or a great arm or he has a great mind. Like, he's got to be. If you're a traditional quarterback, you got to be almost the golden boy now. If you're gonna be drafted high, you're gonna have to show some sort of mobility and an ability to escape the pocket, whether it's just being able to throw on a run on a bootleg. If you can't make that throw, you're not gonna make it at the next level because the game has changed. So that's who we are. We're athletic. We're more athletic more the times than not. So that's that's the trend, and it's looking good right now. It's looking real good with all the matchups on Sunday. And Tyrod didn't get. I guess he was sick or something.
Yeah, sick.
So it would have been another one. So it was a great day for football, and it looks like it's a great opportunity for young black males to play quarterback in the NFL now.
Another issue, I'm saying another, like Ian Book had a monster game on Sunday, right? So, like, everywhere you turn, everywhere you look, it's an African American quarterback. And again, talking about Trevor Lawrence, not saying that, because Trevor Lawrence is athletic as well. I mean, he does run. He doesn't just sit in the pocket and throw. To me, it's going to be interesting as to who's the number one quarterback. I think that having the season, because Trevor Lawrence was the quarterback, he's penciled in, slotted in, right? But now, like I said, that we're seeing that if Lamar Jackson wins back-to-back MVPs, right? You got Russ who's going to fight for it. Deshaun Watson. Could Trey Lance or Justin Fields, or like I said, even I said it on Saturday, I think that my man puts his name in the hat. Derek King, he puts his name in the hat. Can one of these quarterbacks come in and take the Heisman and take the number one pick from Trevor Lawrence?
They can take the Heisman from him, but they're not going to take the number one pick from him.
You don't think?
They're not going to take. They're not going to take that, because think about this. He would have been, the season that he had last year, he still would have been the number one pick.
Which is crazy. If him and Joe Burrow came out at the same time.
With Joe Burrow, he still would have been the number one pick. So
crazy.
And he had the season that he had, and he lost to Joe Burrow in the national championship game, and he still would have been the number one pick. So I don't see the Clemson having a bad year. They might lose in the national championship game if we get to that point, because I don't know what they're going to do with the playoff, with teams and conferences still getting in or whatever. So if they have a playoff, they're going to get in, and Clemson's probably going to be playing in the national championship again. So he's going to continue to get big stages, and then he's going to play Miami. He's going to go against Louisville. So those are teams where he's going to be able to showcase himself against those guys. So he's going to get an opportunity to either step up or fall back.
Which is like you said, which is crazy because when I think about it, like you just said, when I think about the ACC, you got to go up against Derek King, got to go up against Cunningham. He also got to go up against Ian Book, like, and there's other quarterbacks in that conference that they're gonna have to go up against. So it's a make. I'm not saying it's a make or break, but he's gonna earn every bit of that number one pick. And I'm still believing that the Eric King or Justin Fields, they can fight for that number one spot. They might not get it. Listen, Baker Mayfield, we didn't know Baker Mayfield, another quarterback, Kyler Murray, but we didn't know if Baker Mayfield was going to be that number one overall pick. We didn't know if Kyler Murray was going to be that number one overall pick.
I knew Kyler Murray was going to be the number one overall pick. I had no idea Baker Mayfield was going to be. And he's kind of proven that he probably shouldn't have been that high.
But we know he shouldn't have been the number one overall pick. The number one overall pick should have been the person I said should have been the number one overall pick, which is why we're having this discussion. Lamar Jackson should have been the number one overall pick in that draft. But it's crazy because when I go back, I think about the number one quarterback that came out in 2018, I want to say. 18 or 2016. Anyway, when your boy, Mitch Trubisky, he went the number one, he was the number one quarterback come out in that draft ahead of Pat and ahead of Deshaun, two black quarterbacks, and we see what happened. Like we just see the trend and where it's going. Now everybody know that he shouldn't have been ahead of them, and everybody know that Lamar Jackson shouldn't have been 31st, pick number 31 or whatever pick he was. But again, I don't know if we know Trevor Lawrence is not going to be a Baker Mayfield, but people didn't think Baker Mayfield was going to be a Baker Mayfield. So I don't know. But anyway, moving forward, right? Since we mentioned two people, we mentioned Joe Burrow. We talked about what happened in not Kansas City, but in Los Angeles. Joe Burrow versus Justin Herbert. Man, I'm gonna tell you, Joe Burrow looked like the real deal. He looked like the real deal, man. Before the season, we did our picks on the show. I penciled him in Rookie of the Year. After what I saw on Sunday from Justin Herbert, said, man, it might be a two-man race. And I'm sorry, Tyrod. And I said this on the show as well. Tyrod ain't getting his job back. I'm sorry. He's not getting that job back. Justin Herbert showed and proved that he ready. He proved that he was ready. And I'm going to tell you, if he didn't play Patrick Mahomes, they win that game again. Which again, we'll talk on that with another topic. But what's your thoughts, man? I like that battle. I like Joe Burrow. I like Justin Herbert in that two-man race. But maybe during this segment, I'll tell you who I think won't win it. But I like what I saw out of both of them.
I like what I seen from Joe. That was Thursday against Cleveland. And then Sunday, Justin looked good, but at the same time, I'm just gonna be just being. I felt like the Chiefs weren't prepared for him. You know, I felt like they were more prepared for Tyrod, and I'm not saying that he took advantage of that, but he did. So show me again next week, and I'm in. Show me again next week, and I'm in because he played phenomenal. The defense played phenomenal as well. We'll get into that a little later, but he looked good. He looked good, man. He made good throws. He made some professional throws. So I think Justin. I thought Justin was gonna win the job outright anyway. I was rooting for Tyrod. You know what I mean? Black quarterback. I was rooting for him. You know what I mean? But I just felt like you didn't draft him for no reason.
Right.
So
I agree.
that was it.
I agree. Like I said, I was looking at Joe and I said, man, he looked like Tom Brady to me. He just command, the way he was poised, the way he was in control. Um, I said, man, he just looked good. That's like I said. Then I look at Joe on on Sunday. I mean Justin on Sunday, and like you said, it could be that they weren't prepared for him. Um, but that's still an NFL defense out there. He was still picking apart, shredding them. The one interception, I can't say it was a bad throw or not. But he made big play after big play, man. And like I said, if it wasn't for Pat making that huge throw to Tyreek, it's a different story. It's a
Yep.
different story. Um, but let's talk about that. Let's get right into that. Chiefs, they struggled on Sunday. They struggled on Sunday. Specifically, Patrick Mahomes, he struggled on Sunday, but he came through in the clutch when he needed to. Um, are you concerned about him?
No, I always looked at Andy Reid's offense as a boomer bust. You know, even with Westbrook or now they have Clyde Edwards Hilaire,
Yeah.
or however you say his name. But this the running game can be consistent, but they still a boom and bust offense where Andy's gonna take chances, shots down the field, and when you got speedsters and you got a cannon and you got Travis Kelsey, like you're gonna try to air it out as much as you can. And when things aren't going well and you're making wrong reads or you're not on the same page, you're gonna have games like that. You're a Philadelphia Eagle fan, man. You seen Donovan stink it up, and then your next week you see Donovan light it up.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not shocked about this. It's just it's fewer and far between with Pat.
With
So
Pat.
Pat can go on another 7-8 week run where he lighten it up, and then he'll have another stinker. So I'm not concerned with him at all.
Here's the thing with me about with Pat, and like you said, maybe it's Andy Reid. Um, maybe he liked doing this. Yeah, I mean, maybe he likes doing it. Like we think about the Titans game, right? The Texans game. He's like, all right, listen, I'm gonna spot you 24 points, and then I'm gonna chase you down. And he did it, right? He did that. He hit the Titans game. He said, I'm gonna spot y'all 14 or whatever he spotted them. Then he chased them down. Then he went to the Super Bowl. Said, I'm gonna spot y'all a 10-point lead going to fourth quarter. Then I'm gonna take over the game. Like, and the crazy thing is he struggled. He did struggle in those halves. He struggled in the first half against the Texans. He struggled in the first half against the Titans. He struggled in the first half against the 49ers. And then when it was money time, he took over. And even like the game on Thursday when he played the Texans, that wasn't his best game. Actually, the running game carried him in that game. The running game had 3 touchdowns, but it was the running game that set up everything. And then the game on Sunday where he struggled. At one point, he was like 8 for 22, struggling, making terrible plays. But then, second half, money time, he took over. I just think that I'm not worried about him, but I don't want him to think that I can turn the switch on and off at any time, because I think that is when he gonna run up. He gonna spot the wrong team. Like he gonna spot the wrong team, and it's gonna bite him. I just hope he don't spot the wrong team at the wrong time. Well, he did it. He did spot the wrong team at the wrong time, and he lost his first full year. The Patriots spotted him 27 points. Spotted him 27 points. Walked it down, but it was the Patriots. It was too much for him, and he lost. I think I said I'm not concerned, but Pat, man, you gotta Stop doing this to us. Stop doing it.
Pat making sure Chief game's always over. That's all.
I get it, man. I get it. But I'm like, because if we talking about it, somebody gonna talk about it. You know what I mean? Somebody gonna say it's Patrick Mahomes. And again, people say he's the greatest quarterback of all time. People already giving him that label. So you know what I mean? But I just think that I don't want him to think that he can turn it on and off when he can. But who the heck am I? I ain't worth $500 million. You know what I mean? So so
you know what I mean? Say, so far, the record looks pretty good when he
look real
people,
good.
So.
Listen, he do that against the Ravens.
He could be in some trouble, but he usually comes out full throttle because he know what he up against, just like he do most of the time with Deshaun.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. I'm glad you listen. Let's talk about that game. Let's talk about that, right? I guess because we're gonna talk about some games. We say it all the time, man. They wasting my boy Deshaun Watson over there. They wasting my boy Deshaun Watson over there, man.
The play calling and decision making, to me, it's really it's inexcusable, man. To go in the first quarter, to go for a fourth down that deep in your own territory with Justin Tucker on the other sideline, it's automatic 3 points. You've automatically given up 3 points. And at the time, I thought their defense was playing pretty well. We were struggling to move the ball. We were struggling to move the ball, and then he just gave us. He really that fourth down conversion, that failed fourth down conversion, really changed the momentum in that game. And next thing you know, it started to get real ugly. So
this is what I'll say. Because it was a play in Kansas City. It was a play in Kansas City where I thought that Anthony Lynn should have went for it on 4th and 3. I thought he should have went for it on 4th and 3. And I think that kind of cost him the game. But then now I'm like, with the Texans, because the Texans went for it, and it was like 4th and 1. But that was early on. Like you said, that was the first half. That was early on the first half. I was like, man, Bill O'Brien doing Bill O'Brien things again, bro. He doing Bill O'Brien things again. But maybe he was scared of their offense. Maybe he was scared of that offense and was like, man, I gotta do something. I gotta score. I gotta make something happen. But again, like you said, it's in the first half.
No, it was the first quarter.
First quarter.
It couldn't have been more than maybe their second or third possession of the game. Again, we weren't even rolling. It would have been something different if it was the third possession of the game. We didn't have 3 possessions, and you down 21-0, or you down 17-0, or you down 17-3. Understandable, but I think at the most it might have been 3-0 or 7-0. It was a one possession game, definitely, and it was, to me, it was a ridiculous call. It was a ridiculous decision. He should have just punted. And if he came down and scored a touchdown, so be it. But you basically gave the Ravens 3 points at minimum to going forward on 4th down at that point of the field.
Bill O'Brien thinks, man. Bill O'Brien. Yo, the more I keep thinking about saying his name, right? I know it's not something we're gonna talk about, but I'm gonna bring it up anyway. I know they're missing DeAndre Hopkins. But to hear him justify why he got rid of DeAndre Hopkins, bro, tells me why, one, he should be removed as the GM and possibly removed and fired as the coach. He said, I got rid of DeAndre Hopkins because I had to pay Deshaun. What? You get rid of your best player because you got to pay your second best player or whatever? Like, it doesn't matter to me who's the best player or not. But to get rid of that talent because you got to pay Deshaun Watson. like Deshaun. Not saying that Deshaun's struggling, but you put a lot on his shoulders, man. You put a lot on Deshaun's shoulders when you take away that guy,
I
and we
mean,
seen it.
you can't replace DeAndre Hopkins. You can't unless you're getting Michael Thomas or Julio Jones, someone like that. You're not gonna replace D Hop. But they brought in comparable pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got David Johnson and you got Brandon Cooks.
Brandon Cooks.
Like you've got he still has a decent fleet of weapons. You still got Fuller, you still got Steels. Like they still have a really good offense. It's the play calling by the coach that is still terrible. So the GM that made the move to get in the pieces still is misusing the pieces. So I'm kind of happy that he moved D Hop because now I don't have to watch D Hop get misused because I see him being used correctly in Arizona and he's thriving. So
It, yeah,
he did D Hop a favor.
y'all gonna hear us say, man, Bill O'Brien. Listen, I'm a Penn State fan, so that's where he came from. He coached us, so I seen firsthand. I seen firsthand what Bill O'Brien, who Bill O'Brien is. Um, but you talking about you brought somebody up. I don't know if I had that on our schedule, but you brought up my man D Hop in Arizona, and I I, I picked my man to be MVP, and I picked my man the other person we're gonna talk about as the runner-up as MVP. So I want to say this: which one of these two quarterbacks you think is having a better season right now? Kyler Murray, Josh Allen.
I'll say Josh Allen just because he's doing something that I don't think people really
What I
expected.
thought he was
Like
gonna do.
he's throwing the pigskin all over the place.
Word.
And I think what Kyler's doing is well, we
What
expected.
we expect.
Unfortunate for him because he's having a great year. But it is what we expected him to do, given what we seen from him last year. Like he's proven that he's one of the better up and coming quarterbacks, if not already one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. And Josh has proven the same thing. The only difference is Josh has been around longer, and we have been waiting to see this. And it looks like, hey, Stephon Diggs being a number one receiver makes all the difference in that entire offense. So
I agree with you, 100%, man. Um, I'm glad that we're talking. It's funny that we're talking about both of them because they both make moves to get number one wide receivers, and we're seeing what a number one wide receiver will do for a quarterback. Um, Getting one, and in the last segment we talk about with DeAndre Hopkins losing one. I mean, Deshaun Watson losing one. We're seeing what that will do for offense. But like you said, man, I think it's Josh Allen. Man, I picked Kyler Murray to be the MVP this year. But what I'm seeing out of Josh Allen, I think a lot of people forget that Josh Allen can run as well. And what I'm seeing with him do with his arm, making plays, accuracy, having Stephon Diggs being the number one wide receiver out there. To me, when I look at Josh Allen, I ain't gonna lie, man. I see a white Cam Newton. I'm not gonna lie. The way the way, like it was a play I seen he do yesterday where he stiff armed. He was like a defender had him. He stiff armed him, took him to the ground. It was like some Saquon stiff arm. Drill, like drill my man to the ground. I said, "Oh, Josh Allen, different this year. Like Josh Allen is really different this year. The way he throwing the ball, the way he running with power, the way he can beat you as a dual threat, and then he got a cannon. He got that number one wide receiver on with him. Josh Allen is different this year, man. So I agree with you. I think Josh Allen is having a better season. Again, it's two games in, but Josh Allen is looking amazing in this season right now, bro. So I agree with you. Not to take anything away from Kyler Murray because he's killing it too.
Josh Allen has been more impressive. Kyler's having a better season.
This is what I'm gonna say. I picked Kyler, and I picked Josh to be my runner-up. It's tough for me, man. This was what I think difference. I think because what Kyler is doing with his legs and the teams that he beat, I think that is what's really impressive with Kyler. But the way Josh is throwing the ball is what's really sticking out to me. I think he's second in the NFL in touchdowns behind that guy that we're gonna talk about. But yeah, I'm with you. It's a coin flip for me on. And again, like I said, I'm gonna keep saying it. I picked both of them to finish 1 and 2 in the MVP race, but I think you picked them and Tamon picked them. This guy, Russell Wilson.
Nah, I didn't pick Russell Wilson.
Oh, you ain't pick Russ. You ain't pick Russ.
Nah, man. I picked the Dallas quarterback, man.
Oh, shoot. Sorry for it. Sorry.
It ain't his fault.
Dangerous, man. Woo! Boy, this is what I want to start out saying or asking. How in the world has he never had a vote to be MVP?
I have no idea how that's possible. None. That is, for some odd reason, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, where have they been? Like, where have you been that nobody has given him a vote for MVP with the years that he's had? It's just, that's ridiculous.
Let me pull up his stats real quick. But I know in 2017, Carson Wentz should have been MVP. He went down. And then Russ led the league in touchdowns that year. He led the league in touchdowns that year. And they gave it to Tom Brady. They gave it to Tom Brady that year. And then I think I think it was a stat. And I'll find it. But I think there was a stat that since Russ has come in the league, he hasn't had one losing season. He had 26 touchdowns, 10 interceptions his first season as a rookie, and I don't think he's ever had anything less than that since he came into the NFL. Yet the boys never had one vote for an MVP. Maybe early on you could talk about the Legion of Boom, right? But the Legion of Boom ain't been there in a while. They ain't been there in a minute. His offensive line has always been garbage.
Running game always been scarce because it's always running back by committee because everybody always getting hurt. Receivers have always been mediocre at best. No disrespect to Tyler Lockett, but he is not a number one receiver. You know what I mean? So, and he continues to just win with everything being a absolute tornado around him most of the time. You know, he had to deal with the Legion of Boom disappearing, whether it was Richard Sherman going and then Earl Thomas getting into it with management. Like, he dealt with all of that and he just continued to win. And I don't understand how he didn't get it. He's never received an MVP vote.
I'm gonna tell you this: if you don't receive a vote this year, I know it's 2 games, but even last year, man, who the heck won it last year? Lamar Jackson. Never mind. Never mind. Lamar Jackson was the unanimous. He was a unanimous choice. But even last year, though, like the first couple of games, first 18 games, they was talking about Russell Wilson as the MVP until Lamar took off and did what he did. So even for him to have that season last year, and for him to not even get a look, that's crazy to me, man. It brings it. I don't know if you posted in another chat or if I saw in another chat where Maria Taylor put on Twitter. She said, "I I forgot Anthony Davis. She said, I didn't vote for Anthony Davis as an MVP or all NBA. She said, I forgot about him. It brings me to think about, like, what are y'all looking at when y'all casting these ballots? What are you looking at?
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. You have a vote and a say in this process, and you forget about a guy like that. That means you shouldn't have a vote or a say in the process.
Yep.
That's just what that means.
Like,
That's ridiculous.
and that's what they feel like with Russ. Like, who's voting? Like, are y'all forgetting about him? And who's voting? For you to forget about what this man is doing and to not vote for him? Yeah, that's terrible to me, man.
That's
Terrible.
ridiculous.
But I want to stay with that game. Cam Newton. Cam Newton is great for the Patriots, man. I think Cam. I didn't know what to expect. I picked the Buffalo Bills to win that division. I think I picked the Patriots to go like 8-8. I can find my notes later on. But I'm gonna tell you, Cam Newton going. He gonna fight for this division. He gonna fight for this division. Somebody in my other chat said the Patriots going to the Super Bowl to face Tom Brady, and I was like, man, you tripping. But what I've seen out of Cam Newton, him not really even knowing, not having a full practice with them, coming into that locker room late, and watching how he galvanizes the troops. Cam Newton looking good, man. He looked real good. And he still don't got weapons. Cam Newton looking real good. He had the opportunity to win that game last night late. I think the Patriots gonna be a tough out, and I think that I can see them squeaking into the playoffs now.
I guess we're getting more and more evidence that they both were just great together. Because Tom looked good yesterday, you know what I mean, and Bill just continues to look good without Tom. So, like, and the Patriots are gonna be in it. Like, Bill Belichick knows what he's doing, and despite all of the people that they're missing defensively, they're playing good enough defense right now, early in the season, to be in games. They won a game and they lost a game that they were in. They could have easily won that game last night. This defense is going to be humming and be pretty good by season's end. And that offense is going to be really good. Yes, the Patriots look like they're going to be fine, and look like they're just going to be the Patriots. They're going to run the football, and they're going to use play action to throw the ball downfield. Cam is fitting in real good because he just gives them another element to run the football with.
His passing looked good last night. The crazy thing, I was like, I don't know. Outside of Stephon Gilmore and Devin McCourty, Jason McCourty, like some of those corners, like who the hell is on this front line? It was one dude they popped up yesterday. I said, man, and listen, I watched college football. I watched all of it. And I was like, who the hell is that? But Bill some way just figure out how to take this guy, take that guy,
get the best out of him,
do his thing. And they was talking about, they said, listen, he just asked them to just do this. Gap. Read your gap, take on this, and read. And like you said, that's what he does. He gets the best out of it. He gets the most out of him. And that's why he the GOAT, man. That's why he is the GOAT at what he does. And another thing which makes him the GOAT to me is I was talking about it with one of my friends earlier about Bill doesn't call plays on offense. He doesn't have to call the plays on offense because he trusts Josh McDaniels to call the plays on offense. And I think that's also a sign of his greatness, which is he knows he just gets the best out of everybody. Josh McDaniels, do your thing. I'm going to do your thing. Just call offense. Don't worry about doing anything else. And I'm going to take care of the rest. and that's what Bill does, and I think that's what makes Bill Belichick great.
Yeah, man, the Patriots is right there, man.
Yeah, listen. I didn't want to see it because I think my guy. Again, I still think my guy's gonna win that division. But it ain't gonna be as easy as I thought. It ain't gonna be as easy as I thought. Let's talk about my guy, man. Prime time. Becoming the coach. Jackson State. Shout out to Prime, man. Congratulations to my man Prime. For becoming the head coach of Jackson State. What's your thoughts on it, man?
It's a great hire. Um, with what's going on socially and how now we might be starting to see an uptick in the number of high profile recruits going to HBCUs, and you hire a prominent Hall of Fame figure as your head coach. Deion is, we grew up watching him, but these kids grew up watching him on TV as an analyst and as a personality. We got to see him as a personality and as a football player. So their parents is gonna be like, yeah, I'm want my kid to go there and play for Prime, and then the kid is fine. Like, yeah, I want to go play for Prime. He know football. He's gonna know defense. So if I'm a cornerback, why would I not want to go and play for Deion Sanders and be coached by Deion Sanders if I'm one of the top cornerbacks in the country? So listen, I feel like he's gonna come in, he's gonna he's gonna recruit, and he's just gotta make sure he got the right guys around him that's gonna hold him accountable, because we all know Prime, but also just fill in, just be his strengths where he's weak at.
Listen, like you just said, bro. Defensive backs who look up to Prime, I feel like this is the start. This is the start of, and I'm not 100% sure on how HBCUs can play. I think we talked about it a little bit on one of the shows where if they can play for national championships, I don't think they can. But the recruitment that he's going to be able, the recruiting classes that he's going to be able to bring in to that program, especially defensive backs and defense, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. High profile. We just talked about earlier on the with the black quarterbacks, how they are going to they're taking over and stuff like that. I'll be surprised. I won't be surprised if you see Prime with a high profile, big name African American quarterback come to play for him, and then you see them put that program on the map. I will not be surprised if we see that.
Yep. Great hire.
Yeah, awesome hire. So for the last like couple minutes, 30 minutes, whatever. I want to recap the games from Sunday. Yeah, recap the games from Sunday. Shoot, we did some picks on we did some college picks too, didn't we?
Yeah, we did some college picks.
So I wanted to do I wanted to create the whole, and maybe we'll do it this week. Our wins and losses on our picks. I wanted to do that. But I want to go over like some of the picks that we had. Yeah, I mean some of the games that we picked. We picked every game, but and see like the things that stood out, wins and losses, right? But one of the things we definitely got to get to before we even jump into that, and maybe we'll start with that game, is San Fran, man. Man, what is in the water in San Francisco? Like,
but it wasn't. I mean, I know it was a lot of guys for them though, especially seemed like in just the game alone, it was just one after another just going down. But around the league, there were just injuries all over the place. Um, I just I don't know if it's the lack of preseason games or what it was, but man, that's real unfortunate for a team that was trying to get back to the Super Bowl to have to deal with so many injuries in just 2 games.
So I got my notes, found my notes. Um, you had you had them like 97, right?
Cool.
San Fran.
Yeah,
Yeah,
something
them,
like that.
something like that. Does this change your position on or your pick on them
I have to say, yeah. I think both is done.
for the year? Yep. I think
Like
Solomon Thomas probably be done probably for the year as well.
I have to say, yeah. Especially when you consider that Jimmy G, how long is he gonna be gone?
Well, the report says 4 to 6. His coach came out today and said he could play as early as this Sunday, which to me would be dumb, but um,
Let's just call a spade a spade. He wasn't even playing that well to begin with. So I just like I really don't know. I want to say if if they can finish 500 now, especially with that division, if they can finish 500, they'll be all right.
so yeah, I picked him 13-3. After seeing Sunday's game and shoot, after seeing the game before week 1, kind of like, man, sure, maybe I gotta change my pick because I think I had them at the number 1 seed in the NFC. Now looking back on it, I'm like, with the injuries, what I'm seeing out of Jimmy, yeah, it changed a lot for me. Richard Sherman not being there or being on IR for the first 3 weeks. Debo Samuels being on IR. Um, Nick Bosa going for the year. Solomon Thomas possibly going for the year. Like I said, Jimmy G being going for 4 to 6 weeks. You know what I mean, or day to day. We don't know what the report is on that. Tevin Coleman not playing Sunday. Um, Raheem Mostert being up in the air. George Kittle being up in the air. Like that's a lot to overcome. That's a lot to
Yeah.
overcome. And like you said, especially in that division, the way Seattle's playing, they looking good. The way the my 12-4 cards, the way they looking. um, that's a lot to try to
And the
overcome.
Rams.
And like I said, and the Rams, like shoot, my 6-10 pick on the Rams might be the 6-10 49ers. Um, but like you said, just that division is tough, and to have all those injuries all at once, that's gonna be tough to come back from. So yeah, I am
Absolutely.
changing my position on the San Francisco 49ers. Um, let's jump to another team, right? That you was high on. You picked them as the number 1 seed in the NFC. What the heck is going on in Minnesota?
One week it was the defense and the defense alone, and then the next week it was the defense and Kirk Cousins. Just when you thought it was safe, Kirk Cousins came back.
Kirk,
Like, oh my. Like, it's better for them to be the underdog.
I agree.
It's better for them to be the underdog. Um, I don't know. I don't even know what to say.
Me either. Me either. But what it feels like is two things. They missing Stephon Diggs. That's what it's feeling like. Like they missing Stephon Diggs, and Kirk got paid, Dalvin got paid, and it's like we got paid, so the heck else do I got? That, not saying that that's their mentality, but that's what it's looking like. The way you got beat by the Green Bay Packers. Okay, you had no Daniel Hunter. Your corners are suspect. They're young. Okay, it's Green Bay Packers. I mean, chalk that up. But then the way you got beat by the Colts, the way Kirk Cousins was throwing interceptions, the way they was running the ball, like, and I think they just read up. The coach. I think he just got read up. It's like everybody got their money and got comfortable, but it's like, do you blame it on COVID? Do you blame it on the 2020 season? Like,
I can't blame it. I don't know what to blame it on. I'm gonna blame it on it being the first 2 weeks of the season. That's what I'm gonna blame it on. There's too much talent, and I think Zimmer's a good coach. So I think they'll bounce. I think they'll bounce back. I don't think they're gonna win the division now. I think they'll bounce back eventually, and thank God that there's an extra playoff spot, so they might be able to sneak in.
we need that. We need that.
So they might be able to sneak in, but they didn't look at they. I don't think anyone looked at that schedule and said they'd be 0-2. 1-1.
1-1. 1-1.
1-1. Okay, but 0-2, no.
The thing is, like you said, it's just tough because, like you said, Kirk got his money. We thought he came out the best best season of his career. Dalvin came out the best season of his career, and it's like, we don't know who y'all are. We don't know who you are. But moving forward, I don't want to keep beating up on them. I want to talk about a positive team and I feel like I eat my crow on it. I picked them to win last week. It didn't happen, but I was impressed with what I saw. I definitely thought they was going to win that game. I ain't going to lie. The Jags-Titans game, the boy looked good, man. I said I couldn't trust him. Ryan Tannehill, man, he looked good last week. I'm sorry, Ryan Tannehill. I said I ain't believe in you. Maybe you watched the show and maybe that was your motivation. But he looked good last week, man. Derrick Henry, he struggled a little bit. He looked good. But I don't want to talk about the Titans. I want to talk about the Jags, who I picked to go 0-16. And the first two games, they looked impressive, bro. I'm not gonna lie. First 2 games, they look impressive. I know you picked them to win 4 games because you ain't want to get Trevor Lawrence, but they might win those 4 games, man. He looked impressive. They looked impressive. But I'm gonna tell you, they ain't getting Trevor Lawrence. They're not gonna get Trevor Lawrence. I know we talk about, man, is Garner the guy? Is Minshew Mania something real? Over the first 2 games, he looked good.
He's looking efficient. You know, he doesn't look rattled. You know, he looks good, man. I mean, like, I've always liked the receivers. I've always felt they've had a decent receiving core. So I felt like he had guys that he could throw the ball to. It was just whether or not he could make the throws. And I like the play calling. They're putting him in. They're making the throws easy for him. So I feel like maybe they are doing something there in Jacksonville. We just don't understand it.
Understand what the heck they
We
doing?
We don't understand it. We don't see it. You know, we did the same thing. We did the same thing to Chucky. You know what I mean? And he gonna get put to the test tonight. You know what I mean? But maybe things are changing over there in Vegas as well. So
yeah, like you said, we ain't see it, but that's why we're not the owner, right? That's why ain't our team. But like you said, yeah, man, Garner looked good, man. He beat out Nick for a reason, and I'm seeing it. They got rid of Leonard Fournette for a reason because the boy James, I forget his last name, the running back out there, he look all right. Defense is looking okay, so they're doing something over there. They're building something over there. They aren't going to need a quarterback if my man Gardner Minshew is playing this way. And maybe that's what they wanted. They wanted to see if Gardner Minshew can be the guy. And so far this season, early on, he's proven that he is the guy. Because like I said, man, I legit thought they was gonna win that game when he was driving. They gave him the ball at the end. I thought he was gonna win the game. So good game, good game. I, I wanna touch on this game last, man, but they keep jumping out at me. That Cowboys Falcons game, man.
I don't want to talk about it. There's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to talk about. Like, I know I said it wasn't Dak's fault. It kind of was, though. He did kind of start it at the beginning. Like, but I'm not gonna. I don't give people praise for putting out a fire that they started.
I agree.
He kind of helped put him in that position to be down all those points. So I'm not gonna say, man, that was a great comeback, man. He should. They didn't quit. That's the positive that you can take from that game was they didn't quit. And I don't believe that under Jason Garrett and in years past that would have been the case. They would have laid down and got ran over. But they also knew that the Falcons like to give up big leads. So
thank you, man. I'm glad you. That's what I
wanted. So that probably played a role in it. But man, that side of it, I really don't want to talk about because that's who the Falcons are. That's who the Falcons are. That's who they are.
I had them winning 9 games. After that, I seen a meme that said ATL stands for about to lose, and that's exactly what it looked. I want to take a moment of silence, man, for the Atlanta Falcons.
No, don't give them. They don't deserve a moment of silence.
What the freak was that?
Man, that game was over. That game was over. And this is the funniest thing about it. I'm pretty sure you was in the same boat as me. I'm watching the Eagles and the Rams game, and they kept saying bonus coverage of the Falcons and Cowboys, and I'm like, why? That game is a blowout too. Like, why? Why are you going to that? I don't want to see that either. Show me a game that's fighting. Show me a game. I don't even care if it's on CBS. NFL, you can control it. Switch it over to Fox. Like, do something. Don't show me that game. And then they switched over. I was like, 30-39. I'm like, they're really in this? I'm like, okay, whatever. Then they scored a touchdown. I'm like, okay. But when I watched 3 Falcon players literally watch the ball go 10 yards and then go down, I'm like, I know you've been playing football long enough. You're in the NFL. You know the rule that you
can
receiving team can touch the ball. I'm like, are you serious? And it happened. And I was like, wow. The Cowboys are gonna get gifted. Gifted. They got gifted a win.
Jerry Jones paid somebody on that Falcons team. You had to pay somebody. Like, bro, when I just saw them kept backing up, looking at the ball, I'm like, because when it first happened, I was like, okay, how the heck did they come back? Then they said they got an onside kick, and I was like, how in the world do you get an onside kick with the new rule that's set up for you not to get an onside kick? And then they showed me. And I said, my God. I said, Dan Quinn got to be fired after this game. He has to. Because, listen, I swear on everything. I said, if I was the coach, I would have ran on the field and kicked the ball out of bounds. If I was Dan Quinn, I would have ran on the field and kicked the ball out of bounds. The way his players just kept looking at it, and I know it had to be forever to be a coach in that position, to be Dan Quinn. I know those 10 yards took forever.
I know it was at least 100 people on the sideline like, get the ball. I know it. And the people that looked at it, man, all of them, when they got home, it would have been pink slips in the lockers.
Pink slips? When they got home, man, they took their helmet off on the field. Leave your jersey, your helmet, your cleats, leave them all on the field.
On the way home from Dallas.
On the field. The same way you looked at that ball is the way you about to leave this field looking at your jersey and stuff. That's the same way.
I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it.
Listen, I was ecstatic because we was getting smacked. So I said, listen, I got some solace in the way the Cowboys getting smacked. And then to see the Falcons give up that game like that, man, hurt my heart, man. So
sad.
Since I brought them up, let's jump right into that game, man. What I pick us 12-4 this year? Looking like a 4-12 season. looking like a 4-12 season.
Y'all say y'all in the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes, huh?
We got our quarterback, man. We got our quarterback. He on the bench.
he a decoy.
Yeah, the decoy out there.
The decoy out there. Look, man, that game changed on turnovers.
Pick.
The Miles Sanders fumble on the first possession. Then the pick, like it just kept changing on. He just kept changing on turnovers because Cooper Kupp fumbled the punt right at the end of the first half. That changed the momentum, man. I was like, man, Philly back in it now. I'm like, Philly back in it now, man. They can win this. They can win it. And they driving down, and Carson throw the pick in the end zone, man. And I'm like, that's it.
Change the game.
That's it.
Change the whole game.
But that and y'all struggle covering people, man. Goodness gracious. My goodness gracious. Every time I turned around, it looked like Tyler Higbee was just running wide open. Like,
Tyler Higbee, it was everybody out there running wide open. I said, God darn, like, outside of who my man Darius Slay was covering, but I'm like, dog. Dude, like,
man, he even caught it a couple times.
He caught a couple Jones too. I was like, what the like, here, the crazy part about that is to hear the comments afterwards. And this is why I say it's possibly going to be a 4-12 season, to hear the comments afterwards. Defensively, you hear Rodney McLeod say, we knew what they was going to do. We practiced it. We knew exactly what they was going to do. So you knew that,
say, bro.
So you knew they was going to be out here running these plays, and y'all practiced all week, and y'all couldn't stop it? Man, I would have went in there and said, listen, they had a totally different game plan from what we practiced.
That's even worse.
Totally different game plan from what we practiced. But to know what they was going to do, and you just couldn't stop it.
They couldn't stop the run or the pass all day long, man. It was like, it seemed like, I'm not even sure. I should have checked the stats, but it seemed like the Rams got converted every third down. Did they punt?
Once, I think. Once or twice. Maybe. I seen a stat that said the Rams scored on 6 out of their 8 possessions they wanted to score on. So they gave us, they was feeling sorry for us. What? I said, 6 out of 8 possessions they wanted to score on. Because the one joint they gave us, it was a punt that Cooper Kupp, like you said, the Cooper Kupp punt. Uh-huh. Then there was a stop that we had. We stopped them on the first possession in the second half. Mm-hmm. But outside of that, they was doing whatever the heck they wanted to do. Whatever. And it's like you said, bruh, I swear to God, I said, they beating us with the same exact plays. They just kept switching. They just kept flipping sides.
They was playing Madden, y'all. They just was hitting the flip button, bro. They just kept hitting the flip button.
I said, man, if I see Robert Woods come from one side again as a lead blocker in this run game, bro, one more time, he was the lead blocker in the run game, and we couldn't stop it. It was getting whatever they want. Cooper Kupp, they had the bootleg play action, like you said, Tyler Higbee. It worked. We flipped the side. Bootleg play action. Tyler Higbee was open again. It's like Jim Schwartz. This is what I've been waiting to see, because they said Give Jim Schwartz the players he need, and we're gonna see who he really is. Well, Jim, you got the players that you said you needed, and you look worse. You look
still
worse.
a no-go. Still a no-go.
Like you look worse with the players you said you needed. You said you needed a top-notch quarterback, a top-notch corner to run your defense. You got your top-notch corner. You look worse. And then I was like, we got the highest paid defensive line in the NFL. The highest paid defensive line in the NFL. And Jared Goff out here, did he get sacked? I think he got sacked once. Brandon Graham sacked him once. Like, the defense that you're running is not working. At what point do you adjust? At what point do you adjust?
I think everybody's gone, man.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's what it's looking like. Like, I listen. I'm gonna keep it. I think I will start at GM because the payroll, people you put in place, trickle on down.
And that's the only scary thing for both Carson and Jalen.
Yep.
Because people view Jalen as a project,
Mhm.
and then Carson is just he's a starting quarterback that's been with Doug. So he's going to bring in another coach. Is Carson the guy that he's going to want, and is Carson going to want to play for that guy? So it's going to be a lot of questions for Philly if they can't turn it around.
Which is scary for me, like you said. Highest payroll, I think one of the highest payrolls. Yeah, I think next year we're gonna be negative 64 million next year, in the cap. And I think the only team that has more or less cap than us next year is the Saints, and they compete for a Super Bowl, so they have a reason to be that negative. I don't know what the heck we are, and that's scary for me as a fan. Thinking about that, I don't know what we are as a team. But like I said, the best thing that we got working for us right now, the NFC East. That's the best thing we got working for us right now.
You're only a game out of first place.
Only a game. And that's crazy. And that's crazy. The teams that are ahead of us needed the Atlanta Falcons to be the Atlanta Falcons.
And y'all to be y'all.
And us to be us. That's the only reason we aren't in first place, and that's the only reason that Dallas ahead of us, because we did us things and Atlanta did Atlanta things. That's the only reason.
Yep.
Like I said, some surprises to me. The Bears, surprise to me. They 2-0.
Didn't see that coming.
I did see that coming. I got them at 6-10, so that's a surprise to me. Mr. Trubisky looked good again yesterday, except he had that one turnover that was terrible. Another surprise to me, just looking at my list. So this is what I want to ask. There's a lot of quarterbacks coming out. Trevor Lawrence could be the number one quarterback. Realistically, I'm thinking, like, where could he be? Where could he go? There's one team that stands out to me. That is an interesting one. The Jets. The Jets lose enough games. Do they take Trevor Lawrence?
I'd have to say yes.
So, do you think Sam is just that bad, or do you think it's Adam?
I think it's a combination of both. It's one of those things where I think Sam he still needs to develop,
Mm-hmm.
and he doesn't have the right coach to develop under. So I think it's one of those things where if he was under the right coach, I think he would still have his struggles, but he would look better when he should look better. Like yesterday, he should have looked better.
especially with all those weapons, with all those people going down.
Yeah, he should have looked better yesterday. So I,
Yeah,
I'd say yes. If you get an opportunity, if you are the Jets and you have an opportunity to draft Trevor Lawrence, I say yes, you jump at it.
I agree. I'm sitting there thinking,
Only if you're gonna fire. Only if you're gonna fire Gase. Don't you bring another quarterback for him to kill.
yeah, don't do it. Don't do it, man. Like, I don't know how Adam Gates can get these jobs. I don't
Yes,
know
you do.
how he can get these jobs, man. But
Yes, you do.
yeah, kind of sort of a little bit. But like, what? He went from one bad season with a team. I'm gonna tell you, reason why he keep getting these jobs because he got a huge endorsement behind him. He got a huge endorsement, which is Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning endorses him. That's why he keep getting these jobs. But maybe he's just an officer. Maybe he was just that good because he had Peyton Manning. Think about that. He had Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning was the offensive coordinator. We see what he was we see what he was after Peyton Manning, man. Anyway, another team like I'm looking at, like I said, I'm really looking at it. I'm like, man, where does he go? Because I think all the teams that might struggle have quarterbacks. Jets, they just drafted one, but I can see him there. Um, there's no other team like the Panthers. Maybe he can be there. Maybe we can go to the Panthers. Maybe he can take over for Teddy. Uh,
I don't know. Yeah, Teddy was turnover happy yesterday.
yeah, so
He was really bad with ball security. Otherwise, that would have been a much closer game.
that could be. And like you said, that game he started rallying late. I mean, like it was 21-0. He 2 touchdowns. Christian McCaffrey go out, and then they struggle from there. Um, I don't see the Raiders being bad enough to get him. I don't see.
What about the Vikings?
Do you think they're gonna be bad enough to get him? Because I
I
think that's
don't
the
know.
perfect
After
spot for him.
after 2 weeks, yeah.
I think there's enough talent. There's too much talent on the Vikings to lose that much to get Trevor. The
You
reason I
know
asked
who?
him, what,
I was just gonna say. I think the perfect place for him, to be honest with you, but they're not gonna lose enough games, would be Indianapolis.
and I was thinking the same thing. I think that's the perfect place for him. Like you said, I don't know if they're gonna lose enough games. I think I think the Steelers is a perfect place for him, but again, they're not gonna lose.
They're
They're
not
not
gonna
gonna
lose enough games.
lose enough games. Um,
Unless you could trade up, you know what I mean? You never know.
here's the reason I brought up the question is I was like, should the 49ers just go in tank mode? Should they just go in tank mode? They have a built-in excuse right now, a legit built-in excuse to just lose games and bring Trevor Lawrence in.
Yeah, but I don't even think at this point. I don't even think it would be a tank. I think they can put out their best and probably still. And you think about it like the Bengals are 0-2, but man, could they be 2-0?
2-0. They should be 2-0.
You know what I mean? Like the teams that are even bad, like I I don't think Washington is gonna be as bad as everybody makes them out to be. I don't think Jacksonville is gonna be as bad as we thought they were gonna be. So
It's gonna be teams that we thought was gonna be good. That's gonna be bad.
like for like what if the Lions finish at the bottom of the of the league? Are they? I'm taking him.
I think
I'm
I think
taking
that's perfect.
Trevor.
I think that's perfect.
I'm taking Trevor.
Here's my thing with it. I think that's perfect. I think that'd be a perfect um job for him to go. But my thing is, do you sit him behind Matt, or does he have to start from day one? And my answer would be, I would trade. I would release or like I think Matthew Stafford is being held hostage in Detroit. I think he is. I think he's a talented quarterback that needs a different situation. Um, and I think that Trevor Lawrence, if he goes there, he needs to start from day one. So I think it's a win-win. I think it's a win-win if Detroit finishes that low. I think it's a win-win for that organization.
Like, to me, this is a serious question. How many teams right now is there in the league that you feel as though are quarterback away?
Um,
I think Minnesota is still a quarterback away.
I would say Minnesota's a quarterback away. I would say I would say I like the football team. I like the football team. I know Dwayne Haskins is young. Um, Minnesota. I think that I'm not sold on Dwayne Haskins, but I don't want to just discount him because it is his second season. Um, I think there are a couple ones. I think
San Francisco.
I think the Raiders are. I think San Francisco is. I think I'm just looking at the teams. I think the Colts are. I think the Colts are a quarterback away.
So I asked that question because, like, when you're in that situation, why a team like Atlanta, right? We're gonna be bad, or at least mediocre, where we're not gonna go and be able to get a quarterback. Why not move Matt Ryan to get a quarterback, to move up in the draft? Package him and Julio, like, do something besides just keep being mediocre every year. Just because you got talented guys, but you can't build around them. Like, stop. Like, there's no reason for Matt Stafford to come out and keep throwing for 4,000 yards every year, going 4-12.
Still get picked in the top 5. Like, you wasting that man's career. Like you say, you wasting that man's career.
Think about it. They've wasted first round draft picks on running backs for years in Detroit. And that was after wasting them on receivers and quarterbacks for years.
And you just can't build around them. Which is crazy to me. Like, I go to think like how organizations are ran. Because, like you said, there's no way for you to have Matt Stafford for you to continuously suck. You continuously suck, and this man goes out there, game in and game out, and ball, and I remember one year he had a bad back, and he was still out there just balling, just putting his body on the line for organization, and we can go all the way back to Barry Sanders, like. Just the way the organization is ran is just a terrible organization to be a part of. Like, they're just wasting the talent. They wasted Calvin. They wasted Matt Stafford. They wasted Barry. So I agree with you. But the thing is where do you trade these players? Like, where do you trade them? Like, where do they go? Like, I think if Matt Stafford was on that Colts team, they can be legit. I legit agree with that. I legit think that. If he was on that Colts team, they can be legit.
Like, imagine Matt Ryan in Minnesota.
Legit. They're gonna be legit. They would go to the Super Bowl. I would say I would agree with you because I've seen him go to the Super Bowl, and the way they got to the Super Bowl was him throwing the ball, but there was a lot of play action. They had those two-headed monster, and their defense was good. Same thing in he gonna do in same thing he'll do in Minnesota. Run game, defense, and he has weapons out there. So I agree with you. But whatever. We just watch the games, man, and commentate on them and have a show on it. But what the heck else do we know about it? Anyway, that is the show we have for today, man. Next week, what I want to do is next week we'll have our where we are with our picks, how many of them we won, how many of them we lost. I'll be excited about that. But our final thoughts on the show. Um, my final thought would be just what you just talked about, right? Stop wasting time. Let's just stop wasting time, right? Because we see it in quarterbacks, but that could translate to real life. Like, stop wasting time. There are things that you are doing because you think that if you keep doing it, something, the things that you've been doing for like 10 years, and you think that I'm just gonna keep, if I just keep doing it, and I don't want to give up on it, and I know I could be like that sometimes. I don't want to give up on it because it could be the time. But for me, sometimes it's just a wasted time. Like sometimes you just need to do away with that and start fresh and start new. And that's my final thought for the day. Let's stop wasting time. Um, let's stop holding on to things um that aren't progressing, that aren't moving forward. We ain't moving forward. Then let's start fresh. Because sometimes it's tough to start fresh, and I think that's why we waste time on things because we don't want to start fresh. Whether it's a relationship, a business, whatever it is, sometimes it's just wasted time, and we don't want to start over. So let's stop wasting time. Let's peel the band-aid off now. Let's start fresh, and then let's move forward.
That's it. I ain't got nothing. I'm gonna let Dom end on that one.
Good, good, good. That's our show for the day. Follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on our Facebook page. Like us on Instagram. Tweet at us if you have any questions. And listen to us on Spotify. If you got a show that you want us to do, make sure y'all inbox us. Our link tree is in our Facebook page, on our Speak On It page. But that's our show for the day. But until next time, y'all, speak on it.
Peace.